The Miami defense came out and played inspired football in the second half. They really got into their bag a little bit in that third quarter, and they gave this Miami team a chance to win. They forced a punt, 6 plays, 6 yards, punt, 4 plays, 22 yards, punt, 3 plays, minus 2 yards. And then the next time Indiana got the ball was the fourth quarter. And so for Miami, right after they get the ball in the second half, Mark Fletcher rips off the 57-yard touchdown run. Huge play, quick drive. Then you're in the game now, 10-7. You're sitting there saying, okay, here we go. We got this. We're going to settle in and we're going to see, Miami end up, being in a really good situation. But not the case, because Miami ends up getting a block punt and Indiana recovers it in the end zone to make it 17-7. I said it on the preview pod going in. I felt like Miami had the better special teams, and I don't think many people would have argued with that. And instead, the execution of Indiana gets them. And Miami obviously has this happen to them. They had a couple of kind of poor punts, go against them, as well as they were trying to play the field position game, and that was kind of that backbreaker early in the third quarter that or not early in the third quarter, but in the third quarter that, if you take that out, obviously, I mean, that's the difference in the game, is getting a punt block, but you back it up even more, and Malachi Tony catches the ball inside his 5. And those are things where you can't do it. And Indiana did it early, and it hurt them from a field position perspective. So those special teams errors were critical for Miami, and it cost them. That was the difference in the ball game. The Ruben Bain offsides was the difference in the ball game, and obviously the Carson Beck interception was what it was. But you don't even get there if you're playing a little bit cleaner of a version of yourself than you played in this national championship game against Indiana. Because at the end of the day, you did not play your best. You lost the game. Miami, I thought, showed they were more than capable of winning this game. It's unfortunate for ACC fans and Kane fans to be going home without a trophy tonight because of a few plays over the course of the game that made a difference. Let me pause here, because I'm sure if some Indiana fan has stumbled upon our video here and has made it 21 minutes and they're sitting there saying, man, all this guy is talking about is Miami and what Miami did and what Miami didn't do and what Miami didn't accomplish. Fernando Mendoza had a very, very solid game. Just solid. Nothing to write home about. Not what you'd expect from a Heisman Trophy winner. 16 of 27, 186 yards. But guess what? The only turnover of the game came from Carson Beck. Fernando Mendoza didn't turn it over. He was able to keep them in position to move the change when they needed to. And there were some few drives out there when he was getting absolutely abused. I mean, he really did get abused all night. He got hit, he got knocked around, but he showed toughness, he showed grit, and he showed everything you would have wanted in a quarterback that went into a national championship game and clearly said, I don't have to win this myself. I don't have to be the guy. I don't have to be the Heisman superhero player out here. I can let my teammates do their job. I can let my teammates make all of the things happen. Kaelon Black and Roman Hemby, had over 100 yards on the ground in a relatively shortened game from a plays perspective. I feel like. And you have a time of possession massive advantage over Miami as well. And you just took care of the ball. You did your job, and everyone else made things happen. And because of that, we were treated to a fourth quarter that featured a Mark Fletcher touchdown run, gets close, gets 17-14. And then Fernando Mendoza puts the most iconic run in Indiana football history on tape. 12-yard touchdown run, puts them up 24-14. That one comes with a little bit more than 9 minutes to play, and you're thinking, "Okay, the way this game has gone, it's going to be very, very tight margin right here for Miami to make this happen." What do? They mount an 8-play, 91-yard touchdown drive that ends with Malachi Tony touchdown. Awesome job by that staff to put that together and make it 24-21. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, and my prediction, I went, I think 24-20, something like that, picked Miami. So I'm tracking pretty well on the actual point total here. And you end up kind of looking back on it and you're just saying, okay, Miami made mistakes that I didn't account for. A Ruben Bain offsides, a special teams blunder, because then Indiana goes down and really kind of bleeds the clock down. But they come away with a field goal, 27-21, with 142 to go. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Miami will have a shot. Will this be the Carson Beck back-to-back, heroics that he showed against Ole Miss to punch their ticket? But the final score was in the final moments, like I kind of predicted there loosely, but it was not with the drama of that touchdown run over Ole Miss. It was a field goal for Indiana that made the difference in the game, just enough for Miami to overcome, and they had to press. Think about this. If they were to have made that field goal, and I still think they should have gone for it to end the half, you're looking at a situation where they don't have to press. They have tons of time. You're playing for overtime in a sense, but you can also take some opportunities to maybe try some different things to maybe win it in regulation. Miami just did too much to hurt themselves. I mean, that's it at the end of the day. But Indiana is a story for college football fans that they will never forget. You'll never forget Indiana's undefeated season. And by the way, first time national champion, I believe, since 1996. So kudos to them for getting obviously over the hump. It has been an incredibly long journey for Curt Cignetti to lead Indiana to, or for Curt Cignetti to get to this moment. What he's done going from Alabama and then working his way through all of the different jobs that he's had as a head coach at lower levels, going to JMU, betting on himself, ending up at Indiana, and our On3 team was on site at the national championship game this week, and Pat Coogan, the starting center for the Indiana Hoosiers by way of Notre Dame, said, there's no secret sauce. It's really just about hard work. It's about this, just very simple. And Curt Cignetti was asked about what it means to accomplish this. What does a national championship by an Indiana mean to a program that might be sitting there in college football and saying, man, we just don't have it. We don't have the ability, or we don't have the players, or we don't have the money, or we don't have this, or we don't have that. But he said something that I thought was outstanding, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he said, if you put your nose to the grindstone in this country and you work hard, anything's possible. And that was something that I think really his main point of that message, and it was a great Q&A with one of our On3 team members, Ari Wasserman, and him. But to have that type of mindset that if you put your head down and you work hard and you make it about the work, you're going to be in position to have success somehow, some way. Whatever that looks like, you're going to be successful. And it can happen for you. And you just have to trust that process of working hard. And Indiana, without a doubt, embodies all of that and that mindset, and how, nobody wants the spotlight in a sense. They're very quick to pass it off because they believe in each other. And that belief got them a national championship tonight. And you've got to give them a ton of credit, because they were the harder team to beat in Hard Rock Stadium. And it's heartbreaking for Miami because of that. They were harder to beat. Miami had the ability. They had the players. I thought if not for some, again, I think there were some issues with play calling early on. I really think this Miami offensive line would have worn down Indiana a little bit more. You saw some of the fruits of that labor running the ball the way they did, and kind of, just sticking with it early enough. I felt like if they could have done a little bit more of that, we would have seen a lot more in the second half. It would have looked like Mark Fletcher kind of against Ole Miss, kind of against some of these teams we've seen throughout the year where they were really able to lean on them and move the line of scrimmage. So just disappointing if you're a Kane fan. That is just what stands out to me. You've got to just be heartbroken, but you know that you had a season that was just incredible and one that is going to be very memorable for what they were able to do and what they were able to do to put Miami in position now to be this year in year out national title contender. We always talked about having thoughts of it, but now they can really envision it and envision it at a high level. So